Let's stand up and pledge allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May be seated. I'd like to welcome all of you today. Thank you very much for joining us on such a beautiful hot weather in Greenville, South Carolina. We are delighted to have the mayor today with us, Mr. Knox. We appreciate you coming to visit with us today and speak to us. And in just a little while, we're going to ask Mr. David Murray to introduce our speaker. At this time, I'd like to ask David to come out and introduce our speaker, if you would, please.
I'm delighted to. I'm especially delighted to be introducing today's speaker. I enjoy introducing all the speakers, but Knox is an old friend, and I've known him since, 1988 probably. And he's going to speak today about Greenville and what's going on in the communities downtown. He served as mayor of Greenville since 1995. I don't think you ever had a significant challenge. The Falls Park, which certainly we'll all agree very successful. Restoration of Poinsett Hotel in Court Street. New retail with Mass General, downtown baseball stadium. I won't go through the whole list, but there's an awful lot. And check your email. Knox is has, under his leadership, the city's undergone 15 years without a property tax increase, maintains a high bond rating, enjoys a reputation for solving problems in an innovative and bipartisan basis. And it's just a much nicer place to live in than it was in 1998. He is a native of Greenville, graduate of Christchurch Episcopal School, Greenville High School, Wake Forest University, and University of South Carolina Law School, partner in Hainsworth, Sinclair, and Boyd, a former Rotarian, maybe a future Rotarian. And you're always welcome here, Knox. Married to Marcia White, who's a lovely lady, and they have two lovely children. Without further ado, give a warm Rotary welcome to Knox White.
Pleasure to be here. People don't hear about downtown, and I don't have a formal speech, just to kind of take you through some things that I think will be highlights in the years ahead. We're so blessed right now with so many great things happening, and my job is a lot easier than it used to be. It used to be having to take sticks of dynamite to blow up things to make things happen with the big projects of baseball and Falls Park and some of the big ones, Poinsett Hotel. And now they kind of keep sliding in the door. But we still have our game plan, if you will, of what we're trying to do downtown. Going back 10, 15 years with our serious downtown plan that we put into place, it was all about achieving certain things that were all spelled out. It was about small things, lots of small things that we called personality. That is, when you walk downtown, that first of all, it's a walkable place, and how do you create a walkable environment? And so very intentionally by design, we incorporated lots of public art, keeping it clean, keeping it safe, keeping it interesting as you walk along. And all that public art you see, the Shoeless Joe Jackson statue, Joel Poinsett, and all those many things, they all kind of come together with a lot of public-private partnerships to create that atmosphere that's so enjoyable downtown. In between all those 101 small things we do by design are the big things that sort of shift the plates, if you will. Poinsett Hotel, Falls Park, and the whole rediscovery of the river, which is still, I think, Greenville's brand and what we're going to be known for more and more in the future, and why we have to keep focusing on it. And I'll talk about some future river stuff we're talking about. And then baseball downtown, all these things that brought development down to the West End and opened up the whole area that was heretofore out of sight, out of mind, and now so much an integral part of downtown Greenville. But a lot of these things we do, both while I've been married, even before, Peace Center, Viola Center, is part of putting projects downtown that attract people and get people, if you think about it, kind of in a habit of coming downtown and how you can play off of that. And that's why it was so important to get downtown baseball as opposed to baseball out on 385. I'm reminded, seeing Jim Carpenter here, your very special guest who had a role to play in the baseball story, is that, Jim, I was reading this book we have now about these projects. Do you know that it was really hard to get downtown baseball, by the way. Truth be told, nobody was in favor of it. At least I never met anybody. My wife wasn't in favor of it. Nobody I knew was in favor of it. But we knew it was important to get it there because it was a generator of people and activity, and we needed that in the West End. So we really fought a long battle to get it there. But it's funny, looking back, it almost went other places. And the runner-up place for the baseball stadium, this again was about almost 10 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, how things changed. The runner-up location that the county council promoted for a while there, and others, was just off of Woodruff Road. Now, can you imagine how ridiculous that would have been? But that was one of at the place called The Point. That's where Whole Foods is today. They were going to put a baseball stadium there. Good luck. And it would, of course, have done nothing to positive for the area. But we got it downtown. These are all pieces of the puzzle, if you will. There's all kind of a reason each one is there because it helps do something else. So what are the missing puzzle pieces today? Well, I would say, I was in the paper the other day, and it's true, the convention center is a big missing piece of puzzle. Now, we're fortunate that we have a huge convention center given to us by the Textile Hall people. The reason we have such a large convention center, the TD Convention Center it's called now, is not because we built it, we didn't build it, the Textile Hall people built it for textile shows. So it's overbuilt for our purposes as a community. It almost went under several years ago, and the city came in, as you may recall, as a white knight and rescued it from closing its doors. And then we renovated it. And it works really well. All convention centers run deficits, and we use the hospitality tax, which is food and beverage tax, which is tourism-related uses. We use that to plug the deficit. Well, that deficit started out around $1 million a year, and now it's down to like less than $500,000. And so that's freed up a lot of money for us. So it runs very well. It's still very good for what I call local events, like the annual Chamber of Commerce dinner, or the boat show, or the gun and knife show, things that you go to, local events, where frankly, if you think about it, Chamber of Commerce annual dinner, we don't really need folks who are going to that to be downtown, frankly. It's us. We won't gain anything from it. You drive in, you drive out. But the other side of the convention business is what we're totally missing the boat on, which is the things you and I go to in our professional lives when we go to the annual meeting of whatever. Annual hospital association, annual this, annual that. We're almost not in the universe of that. We get more than our share through good marketing and good contacts. Some local companies like ScanSource and Cinex have their annual meetings in Greenville, and they attract thousands of people. They're vendors, suppliers, and so we get some big ones like that. And those are what you really want, because those are people from out of town who come here and stay in hotels and spend lots of money in your community. That's the gold ticket. That's what you're trying to have, and that's one of the reasons you have a convention center. Well, that's the business that we don't get, because we do get some, but we don't get like we should, because you can guess it. I mean, there's no hotel connected to it, and don't we all like to go to conventions where the hotel's like connected right to it, or just across the street or something? And you're out in 291 bypass, and so we get, again, more than our fair share, but we have to put people downtown, and we have an elaborate system of transportation back and forth, and we get some. But it's usually a non-starter. Usually an organization will look at Greenville, South Carolina for a convention until they find out that they can't quite squeeze into the Hyatt, maybe they're a little bit too big for that, and there's really no alternative to TD. So what we've been working on, and we'll continue to work on, is a conference center downtown, not a huge convention center like we have now, but something much smaller, sort of right size, to attract professional conferences that want to be downtown. And I really believe that our downtown, with the river and all the amenities, really is very competitive in the marketplace for people to have conventions. It's one of the easiest places in the world to have a convention, hence the Hyatt in particular and Poinsett do really well. Because you come here, park your car, and for maybe 3 or 4 days, you never even need your car. And all the great restaurants and all the great shopping, great things for spouses to do and all that. So we're very competitive if we have a product. So we're really working now on issues which obviously start with, who would buy our old center, or to perhaps we keep it open for large community events and sort of share space with someone else. That's one idea. And of course, where downtown we would put it, and we have some pretty good ideas on that. So that's a big piece. Honest to goodness, after the convention center, that's kind of the hit list of what you want in the downtown that fills all the gaps. After that, it's more of a matter of managing these things, keeping the downtown safe, clean, and a good place to be. One of our big focuses in the last couple of years was about getting residential downtown, but check that off. We have apartments coming up left and right, and many more, by the way, are getting ready to be announced in the downtown area, downtown, Stone Avenue, all around. Hotels are very strong. You probably read about some of the hotels coming downtown. Well, we have probably as many as, depending on how you want to count them, 4 or 5 new hotels that are in the wings for downtown Greenville. So we have that going on. The last thing that that we had in terms of hard things to focus on for our downtown, stepping back again about 10 years ago, would be retail, because we're trying to get the right mix of office development, residential. Now that's on automatic pilot. And last but not least, and the hardest thing to get is the retail back. Well, the way I look at it, 2013, mission accomplished. With Anthropology and Brooks Brothers and some others that are going to be coming soon, we're now at a place that most downtowns in America, including some much larger cities nearby, would be very envious of, that we have a legitimately strong retail component re-emerging after 40 years in our downtown on Main Street. And I think that's going to solidify its beachhead, if you will, around the one project, and then spreading out from there. I don't think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll have a strong foundation. Downtown won't be a mall, but it will be legitimately a place that people go to when they think about shopping, something we haven't seen in, again, 30 years as we build that up. So the retail component's there, residential strong, the major projects that you want, the generators of activity, the arena, Peace Center for the arts, baseball. If we can just get the convention center, that really would close the loop completely and give you a sustainable, if you will, downtown, which is what we're trying to achieve. And then I'll end with this, that the other final piece of us is the river. I think I've spoken about this before here, but I do think the river's our brand. It's funny to watch how Falls Park and the bridge have more and more played out in pictures and photographs and articles about Greenville and awards for Greenville. Recently, was it Travelocity or the other one that named Falls Park one of the top 10 parks in America? I want to say Travelocity. What's the other travel site? Expedia. No, it wasn't that one. What else is there? TripAdvisor, that's it. TripAdvisor, when you start winning awards that you didn't even apply for and you don't even know where it came from, that's when it's really, really sweet. And so a couple of weeks ago, TripAdvisory and their website and a massive PR campaign that named the top 10 parks of the United States, and we were number 6. Central Park, number 1, Boston Commons, Millennium Park, Chicago, great company. Falls Park, Greenville. The only one on that list, by the way, some people probably looked at and thought, where's that? That's really amazing. But more and more the river's our brand. So the other big thing to watch for us to do is to continue to go up the river. We're going to finish off River Place in 2014, another hotel, Embassy Suites and apartments, finish River Place, and then create this park that we're still working on, about an 80-acre park near the Knox Center, Wittenberg School. It's a great area. It's all a floodplain. It needs to be a park. It also has property around it that is wonderfully developable, and the city owns most of the property in there to help make this happen. So that's our biggest heavy lifting we're engaged in right now, is to find a way to move our public works department out of there so we can begin to create a park, which I think will have a just dramatic effect on West Greenville, to the point that I'd say, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that whole West Greenville area will be almost unrecognizable from what you know of today. So that's kind of where we're going next. And the river's really our brand. That's really going to be, I think, our greatest thing that makes us distinctive and different in people's eyes, is the river and the river area. So it all looks good and all staying on track. Let's just hope the national economy remains on track for all of our sakes. in terms of city development, because I don't like seeing projects stall out. But if things stay on track, I think we'll be on track too to do some really great things in 2013 and 2014. Thank you very much. You want to? Thank you.
Thank you. I know you probably don't have enough of these at your office, so.
No,
we
I
decided
don't
to
have
give you
Rotary
more.
cup. Don't have
All
Rotary
right.
cup. Okay, thank you.
so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, let's enjoy our meal and let the mayor also eat his meal. Thank you very much for speaking. We'll be doing health and happiness in just a few minutes. Thank you. First, my name is Edgar Francis. You probably are familiar with the last name in town, but as a first-generation Lebanese American, I would like to say thank you very much for everything you have done in here, and thank you very much for making Greenville and keeping Greenville the way it is, and only improving this and making it always first a second home for many people, and then it becomes a first home since 1995 for me. When I first moved to the country. And I really appreciate how the theme is and how the beautiful downtown area is and how you kept it so European flavor down there all the way. And it's a very big pride for all of us. I have a lot of visitors from overseas all the time in different countries. My wife is from Russia, and everybody who comes in here, they always are very impressed and very amazed with really with everything that they see in here about Greenville and about the downtown. The bridge is the brand, yes. I don't miss an opportunity to show it to anybody. And I tell them the story about it and the engineering behind it and all that. We go through extensive tour when we bring people in here. But this is truly a pleasure. This is the first time I actually meet you in person. We appreciate you coming in here. Let's give them a hand one more time. Would like to stand up and close with the four-way test. If I may ask, Ms. Sue Poss, would you please close for us with the four-way test?
I'll start it. Is it true?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will
Will
it
it build
build
goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?